And I'll just start this. Are you there? Hey.
I'm over here. I'm down here on the blue track.
The Beyonce. So Beyonce doesn't even earn enough off of her music to make a living.
They turned off part of their brain in order to be able to ad-lib or riff or whatever you want to call it.
Broadcasting from Nashville, Tennessee, offering a glimpse inside the music industry, shedding light on things they don't want you to know, and exposing some of the industry's biggest secrets. You're listening to the Turned Up Podcast, presented by Real Sound Productions. Here are your hosts, Jake Jones.
I'm going to go get a snack.
And Robert Venable.
Give me a snack.
I am not hungry anymore.
That's good. I'm glad that you're not hungry anymore.
Guess why I'm not hungry anymore?
Because you ate. Easy question.
Oh, well, of course, because I ate.
But
But
you've been over there chewing your fingernails for a while.
no, gross.
Are you full?
Yeah, that's how you get worms.
I've also heard that you can get arsenic poisoning, but you have to eat a lot of fingernails.
What?
There's arsenic under your fingernails.
Now, I don't know
In your
anybody
fingernails?
that eats their fingernails, but
No.
I know
chew 'em
people
on
that
occasion.
chew them. I pick my fingernails like to break them off. Like I haven't clipped my fingernails. This is gross in a long time.
This is getting gross.
But
already.
anyway, yeah, that's how you get worms. The worm eggs under your fingernails.
Ah!
Yep, true story.
Time to change that
But
subject.
I'm not hungry anymore because I ate lobster that you cooked.
You are so crustaceanally full right now.
I am crustaceanally full. Actually, they were alive
At
when
one-
they entered this place.
Yes, when they came into my house, they were living, and then they were not.
I do have to say, it was so unceremonious watching you dunk them into the boiling water.
Should I have sang a song or something?
I don't know. I don't know what the appropriate thing to have done would have been, but I definitely didn't expect. I didn't expect to where you literally just like cut the rubber bands off their claws and then dunked them. It just happened so quickly.
I had things to do, and I didn't need a live lobster just hanging out. He had to go to his final resting place inside of you.
So on my Instagram, there is a photograph on my story. So by the time this episode airs,
It won't be there
it
anymore.
will be long gone. But oh no, that's actually not true.
It'll still be there.
It'll still be there.
Yeah, it'll do all right.
But so if you're listening to this in the morning on Monday, that this comes out, then you can go to my Instagram story and see this. There's a picture of Phil.
That's
Phil
what we named him.
Was my lobster that I ate.
Do you have any words to say about Phil?
He was delicious.
Oh, rest in peace, Phil.
And he had weird green goo inside of him.
That's normal.
It was also delicious. But Phil was very angry that I held him to take a picture with him and
He did
was
not
trying
like that
to
at
slap me
all.
with his tail.
He sure was.
That was violent. I've never seen that before.
He was slapping you or slapping the air, trying to slap you really maliciously.
The only reason he didn't get me was because of where I was holding him. Otherwise, his tail totally would have got me.
He was going for it. He's like, if I can't do it with my little lobster claws, I'm going to do it with my tail.
I got to give it to him. I mean, he earned it.
He did.
I don't know what he earned.
Well, you earned it for holding him.
You earned it, actually. You didn't even eat it.
I'm not a big lobster fan.
You're not even not a big lobster fan. You're not a.
No seafood.
You're an anti. You hate that
I am
stuff.
not like a fan of it. I'm just definitely not a fan of it.
You were like dry heaving over there as we were.
I wasn't doing that, but I
cracking
was
open
giving
lobster.
faces. Just seeing like the shrapnel.
My children had a blast playing with the remains.
Fun fact, my son ate an eyeball once.
Did he?
Yeah, he's eating
I'm
an eyeball.
surprised Emma didn't eat an eyeball.
I was halfway hoping she would. And I know that my son was like, you know what? I've done this before. You can do it. You should do it. And she didn't do it. I don't blame her. I can't eat any of it. I can see how it looks appetizing. Okay, I see how the claws and like the tail meat look appetizing to people. But just it's so much work for a little bit of bite of food. I'm just not that food oriented.
It was fun for me. You guys have these nice lobster scissors. And
We have,
I will tell you
meat
that
shears
makes it so much easier than just trying to crack it.
Yeah.
Cracking it like crab claw. No, yeah, that there's some point where I'm like, this is not worth it any longer.
See, pomegranates and seafood. Like, it's just too much work to get out a little bit of bite of goodness. And I'm like, not my thing. I'll just eat steak or chicken and be fine. Give me some grapes.
You know what that kind of reminds me of?
No.
The music industry.
Okay, how so?
There's so much work that can go into it for so little yield.
That's deep, Jake.
It is deep, and something that I am going to touch on in this episode where we talk about some very, very, very mind-blowing facts.
This is going to be a fun one.
I'm excited.
This is a me versus you. We don't know what we're going to say, but like this is going to see, like, I guess we can call it like stump each other. Like we're going to stump. Let's stump the hosts.
I've got some, I don't know
if it's like a stump thing.
Yeah, I don't know how surprised you'll be by some of these facts, although I hope you are surprised by a couple of them. But Robert and I have each done a little bit of research and not let the other one in on it, which is fun. It's not something that we've done.
That's not normal.
Completely. We typically try to do our research independent of one another. So that way, when we present it on this show, the other one is genuinely surprised. But these are intentional. We've each picked a specific number of things and have not told the other one what they are, and we're going to talk about them.
Fun facts about the music industry in general, like did you knows or bet you didn't know or facts or whatever you want to call them.
Most of mine are more depressing, gasp, oh my gosh, I can't believe that facts.
Most of mine are like, wow, had no idea.
Yeah, that's good.
So, I'm interested in this.
So real quick, and I'm going to make this quick, Robert Venable is not only my best friend, he's an award-winning producer, engineer, songwriter for Shoalsville. He's a multi-instrumentalist, plays for the band that I play for, As We Ascend.
A good band.
And he is, this is not a lie, he's very good at cooking lobster and...
that means boiling water.
And lobsters in the water. Although I can actually, maybe you're not the best, because there was one that wasn't quite boiling all the way, and you put it in, he kind of moved around a little longer.
He got there, he's fine.
He got there, that's for sure. He got
took a
somewhere.
slow road. I just wanted to make sure. That was the ballad. It wasn't the fast, upbeat song. He took his time, but he got there.
He did get there.
And apparently he tasted all right. No one
He tasted delicious.
I wonder which one of you ate him.
I'm not sure. You know what surprised me was how salty a lot of the lobster was.
I did boil him in salt water.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That was on purpose.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Sorry about that.
No. Oh my God, no, it was delicious.
Cholesterol issues or something.
Oh,
I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm going to keep going all night. People are gonna they're like, what is this podcast turned into?
Well, you want to dive right in?
I think, I should probably explain who you are.
Oh, everybody knows who I am.
Okay, this is Jake Jones, first of all. And that's all. Let's dive right in.
Okay.
Jake Jones. Dude, it's a pleasure to be, this is a fun thing for us. So I enjoy doing this with nobody other than yourself. I would never do this with anybody else. We have a lot of blasts. We have all the blasts.
All the
doing
blasts.
This. A lot of fun doing this. A big blast for me. But you are an award-winning producer and engineer and mixer and songwriter with Shoalsville Music as well. The guitarist and singerist for the band As We Ascend, formerly of We As Human. You've played all the coolest venues.
We at Tumen.
All the coolest venues in the entire world. And we've done a lot of fun things together. We've gone a lot of fun places. And
I was reflecting on our podcast awards adventures this past week.
Out in LA?
Yeah, not just the awards, which were an absolute blast, but just that whole week. We spent some time...
We did fun things.
Eating some good food, hanging out with Nathan from Yamaha, Steinberg.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Nathan.
And our time, shout out to iHeart for the love and sending us to the that show.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging out with 21 Pilots. And
Who else was there? There was a Weezer.
Weezer was there. I believe Muse was there. Is that right?
A lot of really big bands. And they hooked us up with some passes for that. And we met a lot of cool people. We got to eat a lot of cool food. Got to see a lot of cool things. We took a walk to the top of the hills. And man, the amount of money in the Beverly Hills, LA area is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Goals, hashtags.
Lots of Scientology. So I was there.
Oh, that's right.
The last time I was there was probably 2013. And it feels like there's a lot more Scientology stuff
everywhere
there than there was a lot more stuff now than there was back then.
That's true.
Even
It seemed that
like
way.
Hollywood Boulevard, there's I don't know if it's a church or a museum, big Scientology thing.
No, yeah, there were signs everywhere. And near our hotel, when we took a walk to go find...
I'm curious, is Scientology really doing that well, or is it doing bad, and so they feel like they have to really...
They're trying to scrape.
Yeah.
Like, come on, please. We're huge. We're great. You're going to love us.
Yeah.
Give us a shot.
Okay, so I'm really excited about this episode, and I want to dive right in. Robert,
Let's do it.
I want to let you go first.
Okay. So, Jake, you and I have come up with at least 5 each. Random facts or bet you didn't know this about the music industry.
I have exactly 5.
And I have 5 plus a bonus, just in case. And there's a chance we might have the same ones.
You keep saying just in case. I'm not sure what the just in case
Just
is.
in case we have the same
but
one. I don't know.
Okay, I was going to, just in case aliens
If we
appear.
if we get to the end of the episode
or-
and all 10 of them have been unique and totally different, I'll just say the last one
I
regardless.
was going to say, that's just going to drive me crazy. I'm going to know what the last one is.
It's a small one, but just there.
So you have 6, I have 5.
Sure. All right. So, my first fun fact. Did you know what the loudest sound ever is? According to Discover Magazine and several other sources, but I'm referencing Discover Magazine.
Okay, the loudest sound.
The loudest sound.
And it's Discover Magazine.
Yep.
I'm going to guess it has something to do with the pistol shrimp.
Whoa, I forgot about the pistol shrimp. No. This is, okay, let's go back to 10:02 a.m. local time on the 27th of August in 1883. The loudest sound emerged from the island of Krakatoa, which sits right between Java and Sumatra in Indonesia. What it was? A volcano. Now, no, don't rule this out. Be like, that's a cheap shot.
Well, at first I was going to say, how does anything from the 1800s beat out an atomic bomb? But I could see how a volcano could do that.
Sure. It tore the island apart, emitting a plume of smoke that reached 17 miles into the atmosphere. You can see this observation to calculate, like you can use those numbers to calculate that the stuff spewed out of the volcano at over 1,600 miles per hour, or nearly half a mile per second. And that's, if you know, more than twice the speed of sound.
I was about to say, that's a pretty big sonic boom.
It was heard 1,300 miles away in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Quote, extraordinary sounds were heard as of guns firing. And 2,000 miles away in New Guinea in Western Australia, a series, quote, of loud rapport, resembling those of artillery in a northwesterly direction, end quote. And even 3,000 miles away in the Indian Ocean island of Rodriguez near Mauritius, quote, coming from the eastward like a distant roar of heavy guns, end quote. In all, heard by people in over 50 different geographical locations.
Wow.
Together spanning an area covering 1/13 of the globe.
Whoa.
Dude, it's ridiculous. It actually created a deadly tsunami. I said tsunami. Spelling. Trying to read. Tsunami with waves over 100 feet, or those across the pond, 30 meters in height. 165 coastal villages and settlements were swept away and entirely destroyed. In all, the Dutch, including the colonial rulers of Indonesia at the time, estimated the death toll at 36,417.
God up.
That's an interesting estimate. We estimate it to be about 36,417, while other estimates exceeded 120,000. So,
whoa,
not a good sound to hear, but a very loud sound to hear. Heard, like I said, 3,000 miles away.
I'm thinking a 30-meter tsunami. 30 meters. So that's about 90
100 feet. About 100 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood status right there as far
like a
as
movie.
How tall. My word.
Yeah, dude. So, I don't know how much you could hear 3,000 miles away as opposed to like feeling like maybe the reverberations of the tectonic plates bumping
Let's
against
say
each
the
other.
U.S. is about 3,000 miles wide.
So I don't know how you could hear something in L.A. that happened in like Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know.
Or New York, yeah.
Or New York, or whatever. One coast to the other.
Wow.
But that was reported by several people and scientists at the time in 1883 that you could hear it up to 3,000 miles away.
Wow.
Pretty loud. I don't know the decibel reading of that, but, loud.
5.
Hey, man, it was just pretty loud.
Okay.
That was my fact. Did you know that? You didn't know that.
No,
I win.
I
That's
didn't
1 point
know
for
that.
Robert, by the way.
Okay, so my facts are a little more depressing.
No, that's what I need.
They're
The yin to my yang.
so my facts are all about the music industry. And so fact number 1,
Go.
and I thought this was really interesting. Interesting, not surprising. 77% of all music revenue goes to the top 1% of artists.
Yeah, that's depressing. I quit.
77%. That means that the other 99% of artists have the remaining 23% to share.
That's not encouraging or uplifting whatsoever, Jake.
No, not at all. But so true, and that makes a lot of sense. So, but I'll get to this later on my list. The 100% of music revenue that goes to artists is still not very much. And so when you take that and split it into 77-23, and then take that remaining 23% and split it among the remaining 99%. 99%. Think of the thousands, millions of artists there
I'd say
are
millions
around the globe.
Yeah.
They have 23% of all of the very small amount of the music industry revenue to share. It's not a lot of money, and it's no surprise why your favorite artists make money from other things that have nothing to do with music. We'll get to that in a minute.
Dude.
Did you know that?
No, that's depressing.
That's one.
I knew that was pretty
1
skewed.
point for Jake.
Yeah, that's 1-1. All right, this is a quick one, short one. And this is one that I'm slightly partial to. I hope you appreciate this. Drummers may be more intelligent.
Oh, here we go. Oh my gosh. No. In fact, I was just talking about a meme today with drummers. I can't say it on the air, but it's not appropriate.
There are
Anyway.
so many jokes against drummers, but there's actually been some studies that say that drummers are more intelligent than other people. So one study actually found that men who scored well on a 60-question intelligence test were more, capable or better at keeping a steady beat on a drum than those who scored lower.
Okay, wait a minute.
No,
wait a minute.
Don't
Wait.
try your guitarist and singer. That's why
Hang on.
This completely.
My first gig ever,
Okay.
the first band I ever played in, I was a drummer.
Okay.
So I feel like
Did you get dumber since then?
I feel like, yes, absolutely. But I don't think that has anything to do with playing drums or guitar. No, okay. I think that sure, while intelligent people may be better at playing drums, I don't think for any second that means that drummers make for more intelligent people.
Don't try to spin this.
And I can say that because I can count on one hand the number of
That's better than me already.
highly intelligent drummers I know. And I've met some incredible drummers.
I do know some stupid drummers.
And they're really good at playing drums.
Mm.
But that doesn't have much to do with how good they are at maybe speaking or mathing or
Agree to disagree.
humaning.
Here we go. 2 for Robert. No, I did. I read through, and you can search mental floss. There's an article on there that goes through, it sources their reference and shows the whole scientific breakdown on a test they did. But just to paraphrase it, they said there was a 60-question intelligence test, and the ones who scored the best on it were able to keep a beat steadily on a drum. And those who scored less weren't able to do that.
I do think that's interesting because the ability to keep a beat feels like a very
Like the other side of the brain.
Yeah, like a very natural thing. It's not like
It's weird because we're musicians, and
Right.
Apparently, I drum, and you have drummed, and probably still can play drums. You and I, it probably comes easier to than the average Joe. I've heard some people. I'm like, just play this beat, and you'd be astonished at how much they just can't. They just can't keep a steady beat.
For myself, if I try to think about it, and more specifically, if I try to think about, follow the metronome and play exactly along with the metronome.
Does it start getting to you mentally?
I can't do it.
Because it freaks you out?
But if I don't think about it and just feel it, and if you're not a
that's a different
musician,
thing.
I could
Yeah.
understand why that
Completely
doesn't
different.
make any sense to you. But it is totally a feel thing. And when you really start to think about it, you can't do it. And I think the reason, and
I can see that.
we've kind of covered this before in other episodes, our ability to predict rhythm and expect it to come is
anticipating things
is a thing that makes us uniquely human as it is.
You get excited about it. That makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So
I'm going to take a point on that.
Oh, you get it.
Thank you. 2-1.
All right. So my next fact. Now this didn't come as this. Well, it came as a little bit of a surprise to me. So I was in a band, We As Human. We were on Atlantic Records, a major record label, and we were a rock band. Now I expect labels to put lots and lots of money behind their very successful artists. But I was surprised at how much money they put behind us as a rock band. Our first record, we only put one record out under the label, although we were very close to putting out a second record. I was surprised / kind of insulted or frustrated at the sheer amount of money that they put behind us. And it was a lot of money.
Yes, it was.
My thinking really was that it was because they thought, well, if you want to make a band successful, just throw lots of money at it.
Eventually, it'll get there.
And there were lots of other things, lots of nuance behind that. But regardless, we sat right kind of in the middle of this number here, and so seeing this, I'm not surprised, but also am surprised. Anyway, so here we go. $500,000 up to $2 million is the average. Now that's not counting necessarily the outliers, the exceptions.
Sure.
0.5 to $2 million is the average cost of breaking an artist in the major music market. So that's pop, country, rock.
I can see
rap.
how you would burn through that fairly quickly, knowing what I know about radio promotion and marketing materials and just the sheer exposure, like getting the name out there to make it recognizable, and then putting yourself in front of all the radio programmers and programming directors.
It's weird because having been so Atlantic Records, Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, Shinedown,
Never heard of them.
Skillet. So I'm not. I swear I'm not saying any of that to toot any kind of horn here. I'm just saying that like that. So that's the label we were on, but when I think about Ed Sheeran or Bruno Mars,
yeah,
two of their most successful artists,
sure.
When I hear numbers like 0.5 to $2 million, I think, oh, that's chump change. That's nothing
To them, for sure.
because they're superstars.
Right.
But then I think about We As Human. Well, we never reached superstar status.
You weren't a household name quite yet.
Right. And we did really well, but not, I mean, we didn't even hold a candle to those artists.
Right.
And so, but looking back and hearing 0.5 to 2 million, I think, they were putting that kind of money into us to try to push us, which now being an independent artist can feel a little discouraging. Like, we don't have that kind of money.
Get it.
But I will just say this for anyone listening, that figure is the amount of money that a record label puts into breaking an artist. That doesn't mean that is how much it costs.
Right. That's not what
break
it
an artist.
takes. That's what they put into it.
And I will say a lot of that money is completely wasted on just, we don't know really what to do here. So we're just going to throw large figures and see what happens.
Dude.
Whereas a very, very, very small amount of work, I think, could save any record label millions.
I think the labels themselves don't exactly know where a lot of that money's going, because I know that producers and I know that radio promoters, I know that marketing directors and A&R people are spending a lot of that money and maybe tabulating it a little differently than what the labels think it should be spent on.
Oh, I'll just say straight up,
do it.
Because I know that my producer's never going to listen to this. The figure that any and every producer charges to a major record label
Oh, yeah. You read
versus the figure that they charge to an independent artist
it was
or
nice working in the
independent
industry.
label are
Everybody's hiring, let me know.
hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars different from one another. But the thing is, the
I'll flip
label
burgers.
the label knows that as well.
I can deliver pizzas.
No, the label totally knows that. Our producer knows that he could get $500,000 up to $1 million from a major record label, a gang Jake. Whereas he's going to charge an indie $10,000 to $20,000.
Jake, stop talking.
For the same record.
Do you want to work ever again?
Listen, I'm more about truth than anything else.
I definitely acknowledge that and appreciate that about you. It's true. I don't make $1 million on a record that I produce. That's just a fact. However, I do know of some people firsthand that I have spent time with in the studio who said we have 2 weeks to kill because we're done with the label, done with the album, and the label thinks we're still working on it. So we're going to movies, we're going to ride go-karts, we're doing whatever. Because if we cancel our studio time, they're going to know that we were done already and we'll never get the budget for the next album. And we've talked about this before, and that's a true statement. And it's kind of like one of those things, like a goldfish grows to how big of a tank it has. And so if you're given this budget, you're going to spend the time making that budget work. You can experiment with more things. You can try new things. You can take the time to, let's just slow it down a little bit. Let's try this out. If it doesn't work, we'll try this out. If it doesn't work, we'll try this out. Other than like, hey, you have this amount of money. You only have this many amount of days. Okay, you got to make it happen. Like, we don't have time to try this out and try this out. We need to make it happen first or second try.
Well, there's a whole philosophical argument we could get into that I'm not going to because we don't have time.
Yeah.
As a creative, having limitations and boundaries, ironically, tends to make 99.9% of creatives more creative. But all that said, I know for an absolute fact that there are many other industries that are completely guilty of this, but the biggest one being the healthcare industry.
Don't get me started.
So a producer working for a band on a major record label is the equivalent of a doctor treating a patient who has a good insurance plan.
Sure, that makes sense. I see where you're going with this, and I agree with it.
And because there's laws against, and this is talking in the medical field, there's laws against what's called price discrimination. A doctor can't charge a cash pay patient, someone who doesn't have insurance. A doctor can't charge a cash pay patient $30 for a regular visit, but an insurance company $200 for a regular visit.
Because it's a sure payout.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair. Although
that's weird because I've been to the ER before and they said, are you cash or insurance? We need to know how much it would charge. I'm like, how much does it cost?
So there's ways around it.
Gotcha.
So what they have to do is devise a set of rules, and this is kind of selling out the medical industry right now.
New podcast alert.
So they have to devise a set of rules that they can apply to every patient, regardless of insurance or non-insurance, so that it's not a form of discrimination. So at the clinic I worked at for about 5 years, right out of high school, we had what was called a cash pay discount. So it was a 50 to 75% discount.
Yeah.
And so if you had cash and all that meant was you weren't going to use your insurance.
Self-pay.
Yeah. We would only charge you half price. But if you had insurance, then we would charge you full price. And the insurance companies were okay with this because really the insurance companies had decades ago wised up to this sort of thing and would only pay out. Insurance companies pay a percentage of what you charge.
That makes
and
sense.
People complain about how expensive healthcare is. Well, the reason is most insurance companies pay 30 to 40% of what they're charged. And so the cost of an ACE wrap, a bandage wrap, if you go in, the cost is, we'll say $3. And you want to make a profit on it as a doctor's office. So you charge $10. So that's a $7 profit. But the insurance company only pays out 20% of what you charge. and 99% of your patient base has insurance, then you're going to add a 70 to 80% markup on your ACE bandage so that you can make a profit
That makes sense.
on your cost. And so that's why it's like $30, $40, $50, $100.
$120, personally speaking.
For an elastic wrap.
I had to wrap it myself, by the way.
When your insurance company is only paying them $20 and it costs them $5
at most.
And, as a band, as an artist, your profit margin a lot of times a little greater on a t-shirt that you sell at your merch table for $35,
And
$25, whatever.
Just real quick before I jump into my next fact, what you're paying for as a musician or what artists that you listen to on the radio are paying for to create their music, there aren't a lot of tangible goods that go into that. It's a lot of just paying for time. You're paying for expertise, you're paying for experience, you're paying for time, or paying for a name. And a lot of the clients I work with and clients that you work with for Jake, they want our name on their record. They want our expertise, they want our time, and that's what we're charging for. And that's completely negotiable as far as we declare what our time is worth. The market kind of plays a part in that, like supply and demand. But I mean, we're no more special than our next door neighbor.
Well, and as a
whoever else,
full-time producer and mix engineer, I've had to figure other things that I can add to my services that don't necessarily take up a whole lot more time, but can add value.
Sure.
So for me, a lot of that has turned into artist development.
Sure.
Because, and this is for any band that works with Robert or me or both of us together, it's very easy in our field to lose money on a project because...
And we do frequently too, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I'll get into more of that. But, you look at how much we charge to produce a project and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of money. But then you look at the amount of time that we pour into what we're doing and it's like, okay, well, that equates to $10 an hour.
Sure.
And so to be able to make a profit to support our families, we might have to charge a little more, but as a result, we have to figure out what are some things we can add. But to also perpetuate our business and to get more business in the future, it's important that our artists succeed at what they do.
Right.
And so, I could record Joe Schmo off the street and he might be able to afford it. But if he's terrible, then what good is that to me?
Thanks for the immediate paycheck. However, this is no return on investment. Later in life, I'm never going to hear from you again because you're not going anywhere with it.
So if I can take Joe Schmo, who has a nice voice, and say, okay, I'm going to charge you a little bit more to produce your record. However, I'm going to equip you with the skills and, more importantly, the knowledge of how to take this record after you leave here and do something significant with it. Then Joe Schmo winds up on the radio. Joe Schmo is on the front page of a major magazine. And then now everybody wants to know who Joe Schmo recorded his record with and
how
why
did
it
this
sounds so
happen?
good.
Right, exactly.
And so that's where, and Robert and I are not unique in that. That's where a lot of producers are winding up these days. They're turning into managers and engineers and A&R and all kinds of other things. So that's just where the industry's headed. I'll get there in a minute. Go ahead, Robert. What's your next fact?
Next fact.
I'm just going to say it's one for Jake. There's a lot of talk.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
That's worth a point.
I didn't know about the numbers, and that hurt me a little bit. This one's also a fast one. Here we go. Listening to music while working out increases your results. And I found this, and this is one of the things that I think most of us would find to be true. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Duh. But it's actually proven. And I'm quoting the Sport Journal as my reference. And they say that dissociation is a diversionary technique which lowered the perceptions of effort. So this technique can actually divert the mind from feelings of fatigue and heighten positive mood states like vigor. And by using music during low to moderate exercise intensities, you will find yourself with an overall more pleasurable or enjoyable experience while working out. You'll forget about the pain. You'll forget about oh man, I have 30 minutes left of this, because you're finding yourself synchronizing with the beat, B, finding pleasure in your brain, listening to the songs you enjoy or the type of music you enjoy, you're forgetting about, oh man, this hurts. And C, it's just fun. It's just fun working out to music rather than not music. But there are lots of studies, and if you look up the Sport Journal research, investigation into this, you'll find that they say that they did tests on how long it took you to do certain things, certain exercises. Hey, like running this amount of time, how did you feel after this? And every time that these people were listening to music, it was either faster or better or felt better at the end result of it. And personally, like I've got a little Peloton like bike in the other room, and I ride it, and listening to music that I enjoy, I do like 80s pop or 90s pop rides or hard rock, modern rock rides. I enjoy those a lot better than like the classic rock or just stuff that I like. I enjoy it, but not my cup of tea. But listening to music, like you find yourself pedaling with the beat or running with the beat or whatever it may be with that groove. And they actually give you in this research that I did, a chart of here's a good warm-up song, here's a good your mid-workout, here's like the pinnacle, you need to climax during this part, here's your little cool-down part song. And they give you specific songs and artists to listen to at certain BPMs, beats per minute, and say this is a good one to do it to. And your workout will go faster, you'll have more results and better results because of it. And apparently music helps your workouts.
I can 100% agree to this. I'll give you a point here because I didn't know that was proven fact.
I didn't either.
But definitely makes total sense. My latest workout jam track has been Papa Roach because their last record has a lot of really good kind of poppy but still rock. For me, that kind of that serious aggression when I'm trying to lift weights or if I'm running, I want to feel like, come on, let's go. And you're right. It very much motivates me.
It does.
And it's funny because as a rock musician, our band, As We Ascend, and even with We As Human, the thing we got the most, the comment we got the most was, you guys are on my favorite workout playlist.
I hear that all the time. Like some of my best friends, even other musicians that you and I both know, listen to our record, the As We Ascend Farewell to Midnight record, as a workout record. And it's a good, from top to bottom, it's a good length amount. It's a good like build up, hit it hard, and then cool back off at the end album to listen to in the gym. And I'm guilty of the same thing. I've listened to that our own album in the gym, and it's great to work out to.
So we have an episode coming up that talks about sync music, which if you don't know what that is, I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
But I think that is absolutely, not only is it a genre of music that I think we should get into as a rock band, I think that it's one that probably bands have already gotten into. But yeah, rock music, I think, based on the comments that we get and that I've been getting, not only from this current band, but my previous band, I think that I know that I felt at times, man, rock really lives in the gym more than anywhere else.
It feels like that sometimes.
People may not listen to rock other places, but they definitely listen to it when they work out.
I know I listen to it all the time. Other places, in the gym, in the car. I'm just a rock guy. I'm a fan of rock. In the shower.
I am a fan of rock.
I just like big drum, like acoustic drums, I should say. Like I love pop music. I love Justin Timberlake and Michael Jackson and like all the like Ariana Grande. I like that stuff. And it's not a guilty pleasure, it's a pleasure. But
that's good.
I do enjoy like the big guitars and the big drums and the aggression in rock music.
Well, I think there's a whole podcast to be had about what you just said. That's not a guilty pleasure. That's just a pleasure.
Yeah,
from a TED Talk that you recently shared with me that talks about the repetitiveness of music. And it's something that we've actually talked about on this podcast before.
Yeah.
But how music has progressed and as music goes on, it becomes more repetitive. Today I saw, and this is a shout out to Jed Stark. So Jed Stark, I first met him when he was playing guitar for a band called Last Watch. I don't even know if he listens to this podcast, But Jed is
I think he does.
Jed is the kind of person that likes to stir up controversy. I don't know if him and I have ever necessarily had words on social media, but I know that he's definitely expressed some frustrations that I've thought, come on, man. But I do have to appreciate his lack of fear to express his opinion, knowing that it's not popular. But today I saw him post some Nickelback lyrics next to Beatles lyrics, and I don't. The Nickelback song was "This Is How You Remind Me of What I Really Am,"
Right.
and the Beatles lyrics were "Every time you say goodbye, I say hello," and the Beatles lyrics were really repetitive. They were very dumbed down. They weren't really saying anything. Whereas the Nickelback lyrics were like really deep and said a lot and really emotional. And it said, maybe it's time to rethink who the best band of all time is. But all that to say, as music has progressed, it's become more repetitive. But we'll talk about that some other time. So my next fact is there's not really a whole lot to say about it other than it was just something that I found very interesting.
Hit me.
So 95% of all music, and I didn't know this, 95, so that means only 5%
That's
is left over.
percent.
95% of all music consumed in the United States is downloaded illegally.
What?
95. So only 5% of music consumed in the U.S. is legal.
And already, like the legal consumption of music that people are streaming or whatever is not paying a lot to us musicians /
It's terrible.
songwriters. Like,
And they just passed the modern, the MMA, Modern Music Modernization Act.
talk to me about that.
And it's Spotify and Amazon are fighting it. So 95% of all music lies outside of that. It's streamed, downloaded illegally. So not only is this, of course, had a catastrophic effect on the music industry, it's also had a catastrophic effect on the artists and our families. Buy your music, people, please. But
yeah, legally.
Here's the fact. It has cost the United States a menial $12.5 billion in tax revenue.
So barely. Any, really.
$12.5 billion.
We shouldn't even have to talk about this. It's
So-
such a small number.
Just for fun, this afternoon, I was trying to crunch some numbers for this podcast, which I wound up giving up on. I tried putting 8-point-something billion in my calculator, my iPhone calculator, with my phone in just normal portrait mode.
Sure.
Couldn't even put 8-point-whatever billion.
They get really hot and say, nope.
I had to turn my phone sideways. So $1 million is enough to make it to the moon and back in $1 bills, like X amount of times, like 4 times or something.
Dude.
That's $1 million. $1 billion is
more than $1 million.
It's 1,000 times $1 million. It's 1,000
million. That's my favorite number.
That's a lot. So $12.5 billion is a lot of money in tax revenue the United States government has lost due to the 95% of people illegally streaming.
How much money do you think songwriters like you and I and musicians like you and I and the people that work for us or work with us are losing on stuff like this?
Oh, I'll give you a good number here. So last week before last,
Okay.
the last couple of weeks, I got my CSAC. CSAC is the performing rights organization that I subscribe to. That means what they do is everywhere on the radio, everywhere online, anywhere around the world that
YouTube, TV, radio, all the things.
Any song I've had any part in writing, whatsoever.
Yeah.
They go in, they find out what percentage of that is owed to me, and then they collect that money from those sources.
Yeah.
So anyone who is listening to music legally, they collect that amount of money, and then they pay it out to me and any other artist on CSAC. You're on CSAC, right?
Yeah, I am CSAC now. I was BMI, and I'm talking with BMI now because I don't have a check from this last quarter, which I should, and they're not seeing it, so I don't know what's going on. but probably illegal downloaders.
Right.
Blaming all you guys.
So for the last 3 months of 2018, that was the statement we just got. For the last 3 months of 2018, I netted a total of $2.95.
Dude, that's a lot of money.
$2.95. Now
$2 million?
No.
$2,000.
2 doll hairs.
$2 hairs.
And 95 cents.
So almost $3 hairs. If you want to round up.
Yeah, a nickel away from $3.
That's adding guacamole to your burrito at Chipotle. I don't know how much it costs.
Maybe.
Guacamole.
That's probably $1. So
I don't know.
I could
Picky eater.
I could get 2 burritos. Well, I could get the guacamole on 2 burritos. I couldn't even buy one burrito.
You and a friend could have guacamole on your burrito.
People, this is a record that was released on a record label that
True
was
statement.
distributed internationally. That went number 1.
It had 3 singles hit top 5 on the Billboard charts.
And one of those singles hit number 1 on Billboard.
For weeks.
A band that has performed internationally.
By the way, the band had a top 5/top 10 hit for over half the year.
Absolutely.
Like over 26 weeks. Had a song. One of their songs were top 10 in the world.
And $2.95. That's radio revenue, by the way.
Dude. That just makes me want to... yeah, that's a thing.
That's real life. That's real life.
I quit.
95% of all music consumption is streamed illegally, downloaded illegally.
Going back to if anybody's hiring, like I could flip burgers. I'll make more money in 1 hour.
Oh, I will say
flipping burgers than I would writing like 6 months. No, sorry, 3. I guess it'd be 3 months of top Billboard charting songwriting.
Now you might be thinking, oh, it's because you guys are a small band. That's why. Just hold on to your britches, because as my facts progress, I've got some more information about this. But
can I kick you out of the podcast?
I worked for Moe's Southwest Grill.
Welcome to Moe's.
Yep, very similar to Chipotle or Qdoba, depending on where in the country you live. I worked there for 3 years, and I promise I made more money working there than I ever have as an artist in the music industry.
I'm not going to argue that with you.
Now, I'm a full-time producer and engineer, and I do make more money than I ever did as an artist. But as an artist, which I currently still am, on top of other things, $2.95.
Dude, my 4th fact. Jazz musicians actually turn off part of their brain to become more creative.
What? Prove it.
Dude, okay. So the first study, led by Charles Lim of the NIH and John Hopkins, examined the brain activity of jazz musicians as they played the piano. So the musicians actually began with pieces that required no imagination, not a lot of thinking.
I just can't help, I'm sorry to interrupt, I can't help but picture musicians sitting at a piano with a bunch of wires stuck to their head.
I hope that's what happened.
Well, it has to be, at least similar.
This dude actually did a study, and he said, okay, so during the first part of this, play something totally brainless, like in the C major scale, which means no black keys. You don't have to think about the key of the song. You just play all the white keys, and you're in the key. You're fine. No imagination, in a simple blues tune that they had previously already memorized before the study in advance. So then came the creativity condition. The musicians were told to improvise a new melody as they played alongside a recorded jazz quartet. So while the musicians riffed on the piano, the giant magnets that whirred overhead, like the, I guess like kind of cat scan type things, like the, whatever. They were reading and monitoring the minor shifts in their brain activity. The researchers found that jazz improv relied on a carefully choreographed set of mental events, which allowed the musicians to discover their new melodies. So before a single note was even played, the pianist exhibited a deactivation of the, this is a big word, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the DLPFC, a brain area associated with like the planned actions and self-control part of the brain. In other words, they were inhibiting their inhibitions, which allowed the musicians to create without worrying what they were creating.
Wow.
So they turned off a part of their brain in order to be able to ad lib or riff or whatever you want to call it. So jazz musicians scientifically can turn off part of their brain before, ad libbing or being jazz guys.
Wow. That
I didn't
doesn't
know that.
surprise me. I didn't know that. I can't say I'm surprised just because. So I grew up listening to blues, more specifically Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Can't be mad with that.
who prided himself in his improvisation skills. Of course, I think most blues guitarists do improv. Jimi Hendrix being a phenomenal example.
Oh, of course.
Going back to Buddy Guy.
Prime examples.
And, yeah. So that makes total sense. I mean, even just ask any musician a question while they're playing their instrument, and good luck ever getting an answer. 99% of the time, they're going to stop at some point 15, 20 minutes later and say, huh?
So like, what did you say? I know that playing the drums while anybody's trying, while I'm trying to sing or talk or try to explain something, I can multitask while doing most other things. But while playing the drums, I can't. I can't sing harmonies, which I could do, without thinking at all any other day of the week. But if I'm playing drums while I'm trying to sing a harmony, I'm like, that's just totally other part of my brain.
Well,
can't do it.
I sing and play guitar for As We Ascend.
And I don't understand how you do that.
It's how do I say it? So when you play guitar, right, you're moving your right hand and your left hand.
It's messing with my head already.
Well, I mean, it's the same way that you move your feet and your right hand and your left hand. They're all doing different things.
Yeah, but my mouth stays closed or open brainlessly.
But and I can say this to you because you've never necessarily done it before.
I haven't.
It's just like another thing. It's another, like, you have to practice just like you would practice, okay, my right hand does this while my left hand does this while you're playing guitar. It's at the same time, my mouth does this. It's like my right hand does this. For a drummer, my right hand does this while my left hand does this while my foot does this.
And my other foot does this.
Right.
And now my mouth is doing something.
And so it's the same thing, but it it's not a it's not a free flowing. It's not like if you were just singing. It's okay, so the syllables of this word fall on this note that I'm playing with my left hand while my right hand's doing this.
It's rhythmic.
Oh, it's very rhythmic, of course, and most music is rhythmic, and so it's just the same. It's you have to kind of figure out.
Makes sense.
Well,
this is saying that jazz musicians actually turn off a part of their brain in order to ad lib or to open up their brain, other parts of their brain, in order to come up with quote unquote brainless parts of the music. So in order for them to ad lib or to be creative, they turn off a very logical part of their brain. It just shuts down. I think it's cool.
Makes total sense.
That's a point for me. I'll take it.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you. 4-3.
I didn't necessarily know that a part of your brain quit working.
Yeah, they say it shuts off. Hold on, let me try to read this. This is tough. Dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the DLPFC. And there's a brain surgeon out there going, duh. And we're going, I'm a drummer. I don't know what it's called, but the part of my brain just shuts off.
All right, so fact number 4.
Hit me.
Because of the complicated pay structure and difficulty with money tracking within the music industry as a whole, that includes labels, artists, managers, booking agencies, PR companies, etc.
Okay.
The music industry has made a great place for large drug lords to launder their money.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this has been a contributing factor to the sudden rise and subsequent fall of some artists in recent history.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the mob?
Well, I mean, when I think of the mob, I think of like 1920s and 30s.
It's still around though. Like there's still a mafia and a mob right now.
I'm talking about like the Mexican drug cartel.
They're laundering money through the music industry.
I'm talking about MS-13. I'm talking about the Bloods and the Crips.
Dang you, Ed Sheeran.
And I'm not just talking about and this is horrible, but it has a stereotype, I suppose.
Okay.
Perpetuated by their own doing. But I'm not just talking about rap.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about your favorite pop artist that you've known.
Ed Sheeran?
Ed Sheeran.
He's laundering money?
No. But there are drug lords who are making millions, if not billions of dollars, who have to figure out what to do with all that money. And so they look at, in 2019, they look at, oh, wow, there's a lot of money flying around and nobody knows exactly where it's going or why it's going here.
Pull that together.
So I'll invest in so-and-so artist. I'll call myself an investor. And they'll put all their money into this artist. And they don't care, they don't necessarily care about the artist or not. All they're looking for is somewhere to put their money for a minute.
And get something back out of it.
And then when it's time to get their money back, they take their money back, and so big name artist is heard of no more. And so think about, in the last 5-10 years, some of the biggest artists that have come and then completely disappeared from the radar.
Carly Rae Jepsen.
And there's a good, oh my gosh, every episode.
She won't tweet me back, and I keep trying.
There's probably some drug money involved. Now, not her fault whatsoever.
And probably not her knowing.
Not at all. But there's probably some drug money involved somewhere in her rise to fame.
Just
and
for fun.
Did she fall? Did she fall?
I mean, what's she doing now?
Yeah, but
Meghan Trainor's still making music, but Carly Rae Jepsen, not so much.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
No, she disappeared. She's gone.
I could go on.
I miss you, Carly Rae.
I could go on and on and on about just how that's more of a result of the music industry as a whole than it is.
I know.
Drug lords.
I'm pretending it's drug lords.
However,
Carly Rae, get off the white powder.
There is a lot of just sheer confusion and smoke. Smoke screens all over the music industry, trying to keep the left hand from knowing what the right hand is doing. It just makes for a great place to launder money. So if you are a large drug cartel and you're looking for somewhere to put your money.
We've been watching too much Good Girls.
My
on
band
Netflix.
is called As We Ascend.
Poured into our band. We'll look the other way.
No, yes. The first thing I thought of when I read that was Good Girls.
Both of you and I have been watching that on Netflix and Hulu.
Such a good show.
For season 2. It is. It's like, and I told you this the other day in a text message. I think it's like Weeds, which is very suburban, normal, like housewives / moms / just people getting involved in the illegal drug industry just because they have to for some reason or another. And there's a show that was from like 10 years ago called Weeds I got into with my wife, and I told you should look into it. So hopefully you look into that. As well as like Breaking Bad. It's a normal dude who gets involved in this industry. But it's so addictive to watch, pun intended.
So good. If you're listening to this when it comes out on Monday, and you are a Hulu user, then that means there's a new episode. I'm excited.
Don't tell me.
That's what I'll be doing.
I have 2 episodes to go and I'm caught up.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I've got a fact for you. So we're tied up 4-4. This is my fact number 5. Does the name Adriano Celentano mean anything to you?
Not at all.
Bingo. I got a point. So an Italian man once wrote a song in gibberish, complete gibberish, like doesn't mean anything, that he went to imitate English with. And so I have it here. I guess I can play part of it, but it's Adriano Celentano, and the song is called, oh man, this is a big long word, Prisen Colin Sinianisilio. And that is it's a big song about words that don't mean a thing at all. But
is that a made up word right there?
It has to be. But it's a song that is supposed to imitate English, but it doesn't mean anything in English. But it sounds like English.
We can see him in the stem and the shoes are coming in. There's just 200 cars that up forward to cry to stay. I my chance, let 8 hills to go and feels on.
So I 100% encourage everyone to not just listen to this song in its entirety, but make sure you watch the video. Because it really sells.
It'll hit you.
It really sells it. It does. I can't help but think of about the song "I'm Blue."
It kind of has that vibe to it,
right? Because does anybody know what that song's really saying? I remember being in high school and lots of conjecture.
No one knows what it's talking about.
No,
I don't think that it is talking about anything. But that song definitely that we just listened to was not talking about anything.
Nothing.
It was
all.
gibberish, supposed to sound like English, American English. And it just, I mean, I can see how it does sound like old Southern English. It doesn't mean anything.
So this is not one of my facts, but that was, I think, a point that Kurt Cobain tried to prove with Smells Like Teen Spirit is it doesn't matter what a song is about as long as it sounds good.
Right. I think it's the same thing. But I thought it was interesting that a guy just tried to make a song that sounded like English that was nothing. And that was just a fun fact that I don't think you knew. So that's 5 for me.
Oh, yeah, no, I had no idea. And there's also, have you watched the YouTube videos of, I've seen one of a girl and she speaks gibberish in different languages.
Yeah, I've seen several of them where people speak like different accents of different people in countries, and one of them did an American one, and it's just gibberish.
Yeah, go to YouTube and I don't even know to search for, but gibberish in different languages, maybe.
Sure, that's a good start.
That's what I would look for. And it's fascinating because in every other language, it sounds like she's speaking their language. And then she gets to English and I mean, it doesn't even remotely sound like any words you've ever heard, but it absolutely, if you didn't speak English, you would think it was English words. It's, mind blowing. I've thought about that a lot. Like, how on earth do you do that?
Right.
And she does it in like so many different languages. It's mind blowing. Okay, so this is Jake Jones's final fact.
Go.
All right. So, and this, I thought this was really interesting / depressing.
Great. All your other facts have been so uplifting.
So in an average record deal, you ready for this?
Nope, I'm not.
63% of album and download sales go to the label. Another 23% the distributors, which you and I know this, 25% for physical distribution, 15 to 20% to digital distribution. By the time lawyers, publishers, producers, and managers get their cut, the average signed artist sees, ready? 2.3% of the profit.
So the people making the music get 2.3% of the money.
Right. And I'm not just talking about little bitty baby artists. I'm talking about massive superstars. So this one continues.
And you wonder why bands charge $30 for a t-shirt.
Right?
Now you know.
So a prime example of this is Queen Bee herself, Beyonce.
The Beyonce.
So Beyonce doesn't even earn enough off of her music to make a living.
Well, her
right?
living.
Well, sure. What she does do to earn her living, she relies on her multi sponsorship deals.
Okay.
The different brands that she's involved in.
Sure.
In fact, fun fact, Beyonce actually makes more money off of her perfume line than she does her own music. And now,
show of hands, how many people knew she had a perfume line?
I was about to say, and this isn't necessarily saying much, I didn't even know that she had a perfume line. Although it doesn't surprise me, it seems like kind of one of those side gigs that just, oh, you're a famous female artist, you should have a perfume line. But to learn that she actually makes more off of that than she does her own music is the jaw dropper for me.
Yeah, no one thinks Beyonce, oh, the perfume designer.
Right.
They think, oh, Beyonce. Oh, the music like icon, the household name. Everybody knows Beyonce. Like Destiny's Child, Beyonce. All the single ladies, Beyonce.
All the single ladies. All the single ladies.
Pay my bills. Bills. Beyonce.
Yep.
All
Jay-Z's
Beyonces.
wife.
Beyonce. Yeah.
That was
Everybody knows Queen Bee.
sexist.
Well, it was true. She is
Beyonce's husband,
Beyonce's husband.
Jay-Z. But we're not talking about
his
Jay-Z.
wife, Beyonce.
No, but really it was so mind-blowing and jaw-dropping to me to find out that she makes more money everywhere else but her music.
That sucks.
But you break down the numbers. There were actually a lot of other facts that I was looking up, kind of as far as how much money that say the average music industry employee makes, or just how much money the average artist makes in general.
Yeah.
And it's, you kind of take all those other facts into consideration and you realize, if you want to drive the Rari and you want to live in the mansions in 2019, you don't become a musician.
Yeah.
You don't
be
become
a
an
musician,
artist.
but you have to have something else to make the money.
And
so depressing, Jake.
I would argue that songwriters these days make more money than the people on stage performing.
Highly agree with that.
And so backwards, because as an artist, I know the amount of work, the amount of time, the amount of sacrifice that goes into
It is.
traveling.
Just being on the road, being away from things you normally would do. Sacrifice is a good word.
So being a touring musician, I've worked a lot of different jobs. I've worked a lot of blue collar jobs. I've worked a lot of white collar jobs. If we talk about, typical stereotypes, and being a touring artist is 199% a blue collar job. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and emphasis on the sweat. It's hard work. And so, looking at other blue collar jobs, as opposed to, talking about, say, construction or working for your local city municipal or whatever, those guys are making a lot more money than the band you went and saw a couple of weeks ago on stage.
You're sharing too much, Jake.
It's just the truth. So I will let that be an infomercial for, please buy their album, buy their T-shirts. Their T-shirts might feel expensive, but think about how much money you pay for your electric bill every month. Think about how much money you pay for Netflix and Hulu in
those $30 T-shirts are $30 for a reason, because they're not getting it anywhere else.
And I will tell you, and I shouldn't be sharing this, but I will tell you that most of your favorite bands are pocketing most of their tour merch sales.
Yeah.
Robert's smiling because there's okay, I just want to share this really quick and then I'm done.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
There is a very, very prominent band, a band that I promise if you're listening to this podcast, you've heard their name, you know who they are. There's a band that shared with us a little trick where you basically false report your merch sales to your financial manager so that you're able to pocket some money. Otherwise, most of that money goes back to your label, to your management, to all that other stuff. And I will tell you, for We As Human, that is the only reason we were able to even keep our electricity on. I had 2 children, a wife, and lived in an 800 square foot home, and even had my mother living with me for a while in a tiny little house. And the only reason we were able to keep our electricity on was because of our merch sales and because we didn't totally 100% report them as they actually were.
Weird about that.
Yeah.
Weird.
What's your bonus fact?
I do have a bonus fact. I have one more. Okay, here we go. So this is the tiebreaker since we're at 5-5.
Wait, it's not fair because
No. I did the extra research. Extra credit, Jake.
I did extra credit
Jake,
too. I just
extra
didn't
credit.
note it. Come on. All right,
Listen to
fine.
this.
Robert wins.
Did you know that
Robert always
Elvis?
wins.
I'm about to win. Elvis had a twin brother who died at birth, and I think the only reason that happened
Supposedly died at birth.
is
Maybe the Elvis we knew was only his twin brother, and the real Elvis died at birth.
the world couldn't handle two Elvises. That was too much Elvis for one world, and that's so inconsiderate. We should probably stop that. No, yeah, he did have a twin that died at birth, and that's sad. Unfortunately, we still had the regular Elvis to make it.
Just the regular Elvis, not the better Elvis.
We should just refer to him as the regular Elvis from now on. No matter what happens, we just say, "Have you guys heard of the regular Elvis song?"
Okay, so I totally didn't know that, and completely inconsiderate. I can't believe you laughed at that, Robert, and still laughing even.
I can't
at
stop
that.
it.
That is so
Poor Elvis. He didn't know
horrible.
his. He died on the toilet, and he had a twin brother that died at birth. What kind of life do you live in between those two periods?
That's
Becoming the
we're
king
talking
of
about
pop.
Elvis, right? We're talking about Elvis. I do have to say, dying on the toilet. My grandfather died on the toilet at 98 years old.
He was on the toilet as well.
He was on the toilet as well. So there are worse places you can die because he was 2 years shy of an entire century of life.
Well, hold on for a second. There is a Saturday Night Live skit that shows, do you want to die in more of a respectable reason than like on the toilet? So this is a thing. If you die on the toilet, it ejects you off into your bed. Is a skit. Like straight up said, like if you die on the toilet, it will eject you onto your bed and just like have you holding a book and with glasses on and stuff rather than dying while sitting on the toilet.
So there is actually a science behind dying on the toilet. There's a reason why people typically die there. I say typically, people don't typically die on the toilet, but there's an alarming number of deaths on the toilet. And I don't recall the science right now, but it's a legitimate reason why people are like, it actually might have to do with heart failure. When your heart starts to give out, it feels like you have to go number 2.
Interesting.
And so
Is that true? Like that's a fact?
That's a fact.
When your heart gives out, you feel like you have to make a doo-doo.
Yeah, when people are having heart failure, and so they'll go sit on the toilet, and then their heart will go ahead and finish.
I did not know that.
But and this is totally off track, but not entirely.
No, entirely.
Did recently do some research on heart failure, and from what I can tell, people who have died from heart failure and then been revived either through CPR or shocked back to life, whatever it is,
resuscitation of sorts.
Yeah, no one recalls it, and so
Really?
so learning this makes me think, man, death on a toilet from a heart attack, like there really isn't much of a better way to go. You kind of just don't know what's going on. You just
sit down.
You're like, you know what? I
Pull up Words with Friends.
Poop. Absolutely, yeah. For me, lately, it's been Word Blitz on Facebook Messenger, Word Blitz. Yeah, check that out.
That's the thing you've been trying to play with me.
And Jake Jones, that's me.
Gotcha. I've been like, why is this?
Actually,
why is this guy
Jacob Jones.
Jacob.
I'll play with you. Word Blitz.
I'm Words with Friends.
And if you start playing me and I never play you back, there's
heart failure.
There's a chance I died on the toilet.
We should probably give a shout out to our patrons.
100%.
Because you are the people who keep us going and making these ridiculously weird podcasts like this one. Shout out to a handful of you guys. I can't name everybody, but MD Biacco, dude.
Biacco.
I just pulled a Jake Jones.
So I asked him, and
what
it's Italian.
Biacco.
Biacco.
I feel like you need to have garlic bread while you say his name.
Biacco. I feel like
it's Biacco.
I feel like Biacco is
Does
more
he even know
Italian
his own last
than
name?
Biacco.
Biacco. It's Biacco. I think you should email him again.
Drew, if you're listening, well, I know Drew's listening to this because Drew is the best.
He listens to all of our episodes.
He's Drew, you've been pronouncing your name wrong this whole time.
Do you want to become our patron? Do you want something from us? Do you want a sticker? Do you want a mug? You can become our patron. Go to turneduppodcast.com. Click on the top right-hand corner. It says become a patron. Choose what you want. What do you want to use us for? Do you just want some fun stuff? Do you want to become a guest on the show? Do you want to come and hang out with us in the studio while we record?
You can even actually record your own intro to our episode.
And it's been done before. Jen Walter, if you're out there listening, which I know you are, you should say hi and just declare what you have done for our podcast. You have done the intro. You have done a couple of episodes with us, right?
That's right. She's come and hung out for a couple. Huge shout out, of course, to Rob Billadew.
What up, brother?
I hope I'm saying your name right, Rob.
It sounds right.
XOB Cry. One of the best.
That's one of our newer ones. Hello.
Absolutely is. We've already said hello to Drew.
Drew Biacco.
Completely mispronounced your last name.
Biacco, whatever.
We love you, Steven Sauls. Seriously, you've
been around for a while, like since day one.
He's one of the OG Turned Up podcast supporters. We have some other OG podcast supporters.
OG means Olive Garden.
No.
It doesn't mean Olive Garden?
Robert, no.
Really want the breadsticks and the salad.
I'm actually really hungry. So turneduppodcast.com. Go to the upper right corner. Also, listen, here's the thing. Robert and I, where we do make some money is in our songwriting. That's something that Robert and I have learned throughout the years is that if you really want to be a moneymaker, you have to write songs. So if that's something that you're interested in, then you absolutely should check out Seth Mosley's Song Chasers course. To do that, you can go to turneduppodcast.com/Seth. From there, you can sign up for the Song Chasers course. So not only does Seth Mosley, one of the most prolific songwriters of our generation,
Grammy winner times a million.
For real, there's actually a picture. Robert, you might have one, but I definitely have one on my Instagram. I do have one. Stealing one of his Grammys. The guy has won several Grammys for his songwriting abilities. He's not only written with some of the best songwriters, but he is
one of them.
He is one of them.
And you might recognize a couple of the voices on there, trying to teach you how to write a hit song in the rock genre. I wouldn't know who they were, but Jake Jones and Robert Venable have made an appearance on there.
Jake Jones and Robert Venable absolutely made an appearance on the Song Chasers course, as well as artists like John Cooper from the band Skillet.
Never heard of them.
But it's not just rock. It's country music. It's Christian music. It's worship music. It's all kinds of different music. So the Song Chasers course is things from how to write a song to how to demo that song, and also what to do with the song after you write it. The Song Chasers course will cover all of that. So go to turneduppodcast.com/Seth. What that will get you is half off, 50% off.
Yeah, we've got to hook up.
The Song Chasers course. Otherwise, you're going to pay a lot of money for it, and
it's worth it.
I'm not going to say. Yeah, I was about to say. I'm not going to say it's not worth every penny. But if you go to turneduppodcast.com/songchaser /Seth,
make it easy.
Then you're going to get half off of that course. I encourage you, if you write songs, even if you just want to write songs,
you'll learn a lot.
It's worth it. You've
real.
paid more money for the stupidest things. And this is something that can actually make you money. Robert.
What's up, man?
You're the best. You know who else is the best?
Who?
Real Sound is the best.
Thank you to Real Sound
for giving us this platform.
Yeah.
You know who else is the best?
Tell me.
Food.
I love food. We should go get a snack.
I'm going to go get a snack.
Like a Swiss roll?
Oh my gosh. Or a Nutter Butter.
We were talking about Nutter Butter before we started.
No. We weren't. Nutter Butters are amazing.
Or Nutty Buddies.
They're one of my favorites. We were talking about Nutty Buddies.
We were.
Which are the little Debbie snacks.
I
wafer
want
snacks.
I want Swiss rolls for real.
Gross.
No, not gross.
Well, we'll eat all of our Little Debbie snacks all week long.
I want donut sticks.
and until
What is your
you
preference?
said that because you knew that was my weakness.
I had like donut sticks every day in junior high.
You're saying that because that's what I said.
Fudge rounds also had those.
Ripping me off.
I'm not ripping you off. This is not a clone of
Every
Jake
day
Jones.
I would walk home
I'm
from
older than you.
Hopewell
I-
Middle School
no.
in Round Rock,
I
Texas.
was already in high school. Just throwing out details like that does not make you more
and
valid.
I would
than what I have.
buy a pack of
Nope.
Little Debbie's donut
Nope.
sticks
Nope.
and a
He is
Lipton
lying.
iced tea. That
He
is
is
not a
copying my
lie.
career.
And I got really fat. That's why I'm fat today. All the donut sticks,
I want donut
fudge
sticks.
rounds.
No, right now.
And
No, you're making them up. So you don't even
Nutty
know.
Buddies.
See, you're making them up. 'cause I
Until
already said
next
that. I already
week.
said that. This is Nashville signing out.
Peace.
I'm hungry. I want a snack. Give me a snack. I want to get a snack.